Hey everybody, Mike from the Focus Garage here, coming at you with an installation of how to install bag lights on your Harley Davidson touring bike. Now, don't get intimidated by this mess of wiring underneath the seat here. There's really no wiring you have to do at all. It's completely plug and play, so you don't have to splice anything, wire in resistors, nothing like that. It's going to be very, very easy, but essentially, here's what we're going for with the end look. You've got this light that goes on the bag. We're going to have one on each side. They're going to function as a run, turn, and brake light. And that's pretty much it. So let's hop right into the installation here. I'm going to give you tips and tricks that'll make this effective for you. So obviously you're going to want to probably end up removing both of the saddlebags as well as the seat. That'll give you access to everything you need to go ahead and install this on your motorcycle. The link to the actual kit that I am using will be linked in the description down below, so I'll have that if anybody wants to mirror it with this exact one. I am not using the Harley Davidson kit. Harley Davidson does sell these lights. I think they're like 250 bucks. However, there are various aftermarket companies that make them plug and play with the LED module. Just the same here for around $70 to $100 depending on where you find them and what color finishes you went with. I went with the black finish just to kind of match with my black bike here. So the only connector you're really going to have to deal with is the main taillight harness here, which is going to be on my bike, which is a 2017 Road Glide Ultra, is going to be right on the left-hand side of the rear fender here. So here's right under the seat. You've got the left-hand side of the fender here, and that's it. So from the factory, this plugged into this harness here. You just want to go ahead and remove this plug, and then the wiring harness for the lights splices right in between that. So, not splices, but plugs in. So you've got the connector that goes right here with the red tab that's going to go into the front harness, and then the other half is going to go into the rear harness running to the tail lights. Then you're going to have this LED module here with two connectors, one on each side here, which are going to run to the back of the bike to the lights that you've just installed there. Now, it's very, very easy. You're basically just taking the signal that would run straight to your tail light before, and now you're splitting it into running into more additional lighting in the back of the bike. How to put these lights on is very, very simple, and we're going to go ahead and show you that. They install with simple double-sided tape, which is already applied to the light itself. So you're going to want to pretty much line the light up with the top of the saddlebag lid right here, that little edge that you've got, and you're going to want it about 1/4 of an inch from that. So get it very, very close, get it very, very perfect where you want before you go ahead and take the tape off and apply it, because once this is on here, it's not going anywhere. So obviously you can see here, I'll go ahead and shut the lid. We've got it right in there. A little trick to applying anything with double-sided tape is that, so since this already comes applied, what you're going to want to do before you apply this to the bike itself is, one, make sure the bike is clean. You can rub that surface with isopropyl alcohol or any kind of all-purpose cleaner, so you don't want any kind of wax residue on it. But two, you're also going to want to use your nail or something kind of sharp to scratch up the whole surface like this. Anytime you're working with double-sided tape, this is going to kind of activate the tape and make sure that it really adheres to whatever it is that you're pushing it on. So make sure the area you're working on is warm enough. Make sure you're not doing this in the freezing cold, and make sure it is clean and free of wax. So pretty much, I've got this one off the bike here, but I'll go ahead and install in a minute. But you're going to want to just kind of fit it into place here. So you'll end up, fiddling around with it here, moving it up, moving it down, making sure it's perfectly straight, because once you've got this on, it ain't coming back off. So get this aligned where you want it. Make sure that this protective plastic isn't hanging over it all, that you're going to pinch it in between the tape. So kind of peel that back a little bit, obviously. And then, you go ahead, get it lined up. Make sure that you have slack for the wiring harness right here. This is very flexible. You can move this around here just so that way it's not pinching up against the bag itself. And then once you get it into place, go ahead and put it on the bike, wire everything into place. One thing I do recommend doing is, before you mount anything at all, these are marked left and right. So we've got L and we've got R. You're going to want to obviously wire them up and test them to make sure that you don't have the plugs flip, because I do believe that the plugs where these run back into the harness on the bike are the same. So make sure that you don't have those mixed up where you put your right signal on and it's flashing the left light, and vice versa. When I tested it, I just went ahead and put a blue piece of tape on the harness side of the light, and then the harness side of the front here, just so I'd remember what goes to where. So I went ahead, I did that, and then we're obviously going to want to mount all the wires. So I'm mounting the lights first, just so I'm going to have to realize where I'm going to mount the wires. The wires are going to run in a combination of places. From the factory, Harley Davidson does give you these little slots here along the fender support bracket. You got 3 of them. You got 1, 2, and 3, where you can zip tie a wiring harness to which is very, very nice. The rest of the wire, obviously you can see that we've got some here. You're not really going to want to zip tie that to the bike because it's going to make taking on and off the bag a real pain. So what you're going to want to probably do is secure some of it to the back of the saddlebag there with some sort of double-sided tape or, you know, glue or anything like that. I'm just going to use double-sided tape to tape the back of this wiring harness directly to the inside of the bag there, just so that way we don't have to worry about anything coming out of place while we're driving, and that way I still have the ability to quickly remove, you know, take the bags on and off the bike if should I want to do that for anything. So here's the lights all installed. This is what they look like. Obviously I've still got a lot of buttoning up to do. I've got to throw the seat back on and everything like that, but as far as the lights and the wiring all installed, this is what they look like. The biggest reason I went ahead and installed these bag lights was because I'm going to be doing a lot of riding without the tour pack, and from the factory, that's where most of the lighting lies, is in that tour pack. So when you remove that tour pack, all you're left with is that little square back tail light as far as visibility goes, and that wasn't cutting it for me. So what I did is I installed these bag lights here, and these do function as a run brake turn light. So whenever the bike's on, they're going to be illuminated as running lights, and then when you push a turn signal, obviously the corresponding left or right one will light up. And then they also function as brake lights as well. So a lot of utility, I guess, coming out of these little pieces here, and they are very, very bright. I'm gonna go ahead and cycle on the ignition for you guys and show you what they look like. Just keep in mind, the brightness of the LEDs might not be reflected while on camera, but these are bright and they look awesome. And no hyper flashing on these modern bikes here because the BCM will figure it out. So that's what we've got as far as the running light looks like. And there you go. There is your, I guess, turn signal function of it, but also kind of the way the brakes work as well. You can see them going from illuminated to not illuminated there. So that's what it looks like with them flashing. And that's going to wrap it up for this one. So obviously I'm going to go and finish up putting everything back on the bike, but the wiring is ran, everything's plugged in. I am just going to kind of show you where these modules lay. With these bigger touring bikes, there is a lot of room under the seat here. Don't regard that. That's all the harness for the tour pack. So really what you're left with from this installation is this little LED driver box here and then a couple extra connectors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some double-sided tape on this and kind of situate that flush against that little metal piece in there, and then just kind of pull all the slack out of the wires for the connectors and zip tie all that out of the way. So, that's really up to you to get as tight or, not tight as you want. I like to keep everything looking as factory as possible, so I am going to, pull all these wires through nice and tight, zip tie everything out of the way, and make it as if it was here from the factory. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. Go ahead and let us know in the comments down below, what do you think of these bag lights? I was deciding between these or the filler lights that go in the middle there, but what I think I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to put a fill out closer piece in there. So they sell just painted to match your bike little black pieces that go in the middle there, just because it does look very weird and open without anything in there. But I do like the look of the bag lights better. I think they're just kind of more visible. They flow with the bike better, and just, yeah, really a fan of these. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. We've got plenty of more content coming out throughout the winter here, so stay tuned, and I will catch you guys in the next video.